Welcome to Trust and Obey with Chuck Frank. This is a Tuesday G-Drop titled 70 times 7. Look, I don't know how many of you saw the extravaganza at Madison Square Garden with Trump and tens of thousands of people packing that place and over 10,000 people outside watching on jumbotrons. But that's the epicenter of the snake pit. And Donald Trump, he marched right back in there after those people tried to destroy his family, destroy his business, destroy his reputation, put him in jail for 700 years. And when none of that could keep him down, they shot him. And that didn't keep him down. Okay, so now that going to MSG, that was just a total throwdown to say, you know what? It's over. You guys have lost. And they have lost. And now they're losing it. And they should be. So we're going to see something happen now. And the first God-signed piece of it was from Mr. Jeff Bezos yesterday when he decided that all of his power was not going behind Kamala. That he was not going to endorse her, he was not going to acknowledge her, and that is the first wave of the Old Testament flu. And when I say the Old Testament flu, I say God always was saying to the Israelites, it's not about numbers. You know, there are battles when there's over 500,000 multiple armies waiting to wipe out Israel. And God says, how many people you got? And whoever it is says, well, we got like 300,000 against 500,000. If you'll help us, we could do this. And he says to them, you know what? 300,000 is too many. Tell everybody right now, anyone who's afraid can go home and there'll be no blame, right? So now you lose a gigantic number. And the leader's going, God, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he goes, how many's left? And he tells him, you know, we got like 100,000 now against 500,000. He goes, nah, it's still too many. And then he designs this very quick way to filter. Elon, be listening, because that's how you're going to shrink this government. He says, take them all down to the water and see how they drink. They're going to drink one of two ways. And the ones that drink the way, I don't want to go into all the details of this, but he pares it down out of 300 people. And God goes, yeah, that'll work perfectly. And the general's like flipping out. Just 300 against 500,000 people? He goes, yeah. And you're not gonna need your weapons. I want you to bring a clay jar with a torch in it and a trumpet. Okay? And we're just going to we're going to spread out around the 500,000. And at my signal, when I blow the horn, you're going to break the jar and hold the torch in one hand and blow the trumpet with the other. And so at his signal, they did that. The people jumped up, flipped out, and started killing one another. And the first step of that was Mr. Bezos yesterday. He doesn't understand that. He thinks he's just being a smarmy, smart, transactional business guy. Donald Trump's going to be in power. Hey, I'll abandon everything I was going to do. I'll abandon the Brotherhood of Benevolent Billionaires. I am looking out for my wallet. Shameless, right? Absolutely shameless. But a great sign to galvanize us that he's the beginning of the left turning on one another, right? And he did that, and supposedly 200,000 subscribers canceled the same day, right? This is the Old Testament flu. Thank you, Lord. It's going to spread like wildfire. There's no vaccine for it, okay? So don't even look for a vaccine. That's not going to work. This Old Testament flu has a very high mortality rate, and we don't have to do anything. they're going to turn on one another. They're going to tell all the secrets. They're going to say, you know what? Let me cut my deal. I'm going to tell you everything. All the stuff you wanted to know, no redactions. No redactions, right? That's all going to be negotiated. This is Trump's métier, right? This is the thing he loves. Oh, deals? We're going to make deals? I do that all day. I don't have to sleep at all anymore. I don't even have to eat. I'm just going to cut deals with these demons. It's going to be awesome. But you know who it's not going to be awesome for? Everybody who hasn't been paying attention. Now, all of a sudden, they're going to, wait, what were they doing? What did they do? What did they do with that vaccine? What have they been doing with little kids? Oh, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. And you know what? People are going to want to take vengeance. So we're going to start with Deuteronomy 32:35. Very short, right to the point. Vengeance is mine, and recompense. Their foot shall slip in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and the things to come hasten upon them. That is exactly where we are starting yesterday. The calamity is upon them. When Donald Trump went right into the center of their camp and said, here I am, bitches, you missed. You tried to blow my head off on TV. Guess what? You missed. And now I'm here and I've won. The second he was shot and got up, he was the president of the United States. They just didn't realize it. They didn't realize it, but now it's all unfolding. Now you see the hand of God in all of this. Now you see the righteous over the evil, and the evil are panicking, and they will turn on one another, and they will destroy themselves. So let's move on from vengeance to forgiveness, because that's the title of this, 70 times 7. Okay, that comes from the 18th chapter of Matthew, and it's the parable of the unforgiving servant. And listen up, because we are not going to want to be forgiving when we find out the detail of everything that's gone on, and especially all the children who have been killed and harmed by people that you've been worshiping as important, who had a fiduciary promise to do the best for our country, and they did the satanic worst. And you're going to see it all. And you're going to want vengeance? God says, no, you don't do that. I do it. What you have to do is forgive. If you want your country to heal, you have to forgive. So let's see. The parable of the unforgiving servant. Then Peter came to him and said, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Up to 7 times? And Jesus said to him, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. So that's not hard math in this parable. What Jesus is saying is you forgive him as many times as it takes. You know why? Because God forgave you as many times as it takes. And if you want that forgiveness from God, even though you keep backsliding, then you have to offer that same deal to these awful people. It says, therefore, the kingdom of heaven is like a certain king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. And when he had begun to settle accounts, one was brought to him who owed him 10,000 talents. That's like more than you could make in your whole life at that time. But as he was not able to pay, his master commanded that he be sold with his wife and children and all that they had, and that payment be made. The servant therefore fell down before him, saying, Master, have patience with me, and I will pay you all. Then the master of that servant was moved with compassion, released him, and forgave him the debt. But that servant went out and found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 denarii. And he laid hands on him and took him by the throat, saying, "Pay me what you owe me." So his fellow servant fell down at his feet and begged him, saying, "Have patience with me, and I will pay you all." And he would not, but went and threw him into prison till he should pay the debt. So when his fellow servants saw what he had done, they were very grieved, and came and told their master all that had been done. Then his master, after he had called him, said to him, "You wicked servant, I forgave you all that debt because you begged me. Should you not also have had compassion on your fellow servant, just as I had pity on you?" And his master was angry and delivered him to the torturers until he should pay all that was due to him. So my heavenly Father also will do to you if each of you from his heart does not forgive his brother his trespasses. So that couldn't be more clear. If you want a forgiving God who's going to forgive you and constantly love you and constantly provide a curriculum unique to you so that you can become a better person as you go through your life, then you have to offer that to everybody else. You cannot have two sets of rules here. We've lived for 4 years under two sets of justice, and it's an absolute nightmare. And it unnerves everyone because no one knows where they stand, and they all feel vulnerable. So what's this parable about? And what's the issue of forgiving 70 times 7? Well, look, if you're one of the people who was blessed by God to understand what the deal was, and there's no worse thing that happened than the kill shot and the plandemic, okay? The COVID pandemic was not a pandemic. It was never as lethal as the seasonal flu. It was used as a manipulation to see how fast Americans would lose their minds and just do whatever crazy thing the government said. It's a total CIA psyop manipulation, but it's worse than that because its intention was to kill billions of people, which it is still doing. So if God tapped you on the shoulder and said, "Hey, read the label, just invest 10 minutes and read the label," you'd know that it was never a vaccine. It never says it's a vaccine. It says it's a gene therapy. It says that they're injecting spike protein into you, and that's never been tried on human beings to any great extent. And so it went out and was pushed to everyone. And millions of people died, okay? And now there are even more millions of people whose immune system is attacked by the spike protein, and then the spike protein causes the immune system to attack your own body. So now you're seeing healthy people drop dead from heart attacks, blood clots on the brain, blood clots in the lungs. It's just awful. And we never, ever hear anything from the legacy media or from the medical community about all of the morbidity that's coming from this, all the people who are so sick they can't work. We don't hear anything about what's happening to the drop in the birth rate, all because of this shot, right? So if you were someone who spent that 10 minutes, if you spent maybe 10 more minutes to say, what's been the test of this? There was no reasonable test, okay? This was all a giant money grab and a huge murderous experiment. Now, when that comes out, when you turn on that awful sewer pipe that comes into your living room, the television, and the truth finally comes out of that, you're just going to say, I can't believe it. My relatives are dead. My kids are sick. I'm not well. All of this because I tried to cooperate in good faith. You're going to be mad. You're going to want blood. Okay? And if you're a person who understood that and tried to share it with the people you love, and they looked at you like, dude, you're just a fool, and you're going to get sick. If you had an employer who said, hey, you have to do this or you don't have a job, right? In my case, I was kicked off my campus for a month, right? You're ostracized. And then if you want to fight it, then they find out everything about you. So now you have no privacy, and you have people treating you like you're a freak, right? And all of this stuff could make you really angry when all the truth comes out, because you've been ostracized by people you love, by people you were trying to help. But you know what? It's no different than in the revolutionary times. There was only 3% of the people who actively got involved in that revolution, who put their necks on the line, right? Who took big chance to try to help birth the greatest country that the world has ever seen by the providence of God's hand. And the other 97%, they're doing the same thing that most of the people did not. You know what? I got my own things. I just want to be left alone and live my life. I just want to take care of my lawn. I don't want to hear about all this stuff. If I watch the news and they say it's great, then I trust that it's great, and I'm going to go get it, and just stop talking to me about it. That's exactly what the revolutionary times was. Hey, I got this farm. We're barely making enough to feed ourselves. Are you kidding me? Go fight a war against the greatest military on earth? No. That's not me. I don't have time for that, okay? If I do that, I'm going to lose my farm. And there's no way to contend against this giant army, right? And then what are they going to do? They're going to capture me. They're going to hang me publicly, and then they're going to come to my farm, and they're going to go, we own all this now. You people get off. Go beg, do whatever you need to, but you're done. You're done. This has to be all about forgiveness. And Jesus says, yeah, I never said 7 times you have to forgive. Be nice if there was that hard thing, but it wouldn't be nice for you if God said, okay, it's 7 times? Right, so you're like done before you're 5 years old. 70 times 7 means as much forgiveness as it takes. There's no end to the forgiveness. There may be end for some of the people who have absolutely done horrendous things. God will decide what the justice is for them. But for all the other people that you carry this resentment around, no, you can't carry that resentment. You have to immediately offload it to God and say, you know what? You forgave me. I forgive them. Absolutely. That's a blessing to you every time you forgive somebody else. So take that advice from the Bible, from the Old Testament and the New Testament, and apply it to your life and see how much joy it brings into your life. God bless you. And wow, are you going to see things happen over the next 3 and 4 months? Man, you're going to need all the blessing you can get, and He provides it. Thanks a lot.